You are listening to Vitruvian Man with Jesse and Josh.
Welcome back to Vitruvian Man. I am joined by Josh.
Homie.
Man.
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Do anything good over the weekend?
Well, my little nieces are here from New York. So my youngest sister, she's 40. She has a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old. So, I mean, it's been years since I've seen them, 8 years specifically. So it's been great catching up with my little sis, great catching up with little nieces, wonderful, sweet girl. So obviously the one's an insane piano player, the 16-year-old. I watched this video the other day of her playing Mozart. I'm like, oh man, she might be a star someday. She's that good.
That's dope.
Yeah, really proud of her.
Nice.
So what did you do this week?
Ooh, let's see.
Anything fun or?
Mostly domestic.
Yeah.
I played trivia out at, there's this like kind of ditch next to a restaurant in Forestville. And
so it wasn't at a bar, like a trivia night at a bar?
No. It's like they used to have trivia night at, there was a restaurant out there, but they closed down, and all the new folk have banded together to have trivia night every, most Fridays.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'm not super into it, but I went down there and hung out, and it was a good time.
I only did it once, but I liked it, and it was interesting that you want a lot of diversity in a trivia group. So if you're doing a group trivia, you want a 16-year-old and a 16-year-old and an 80-year-old and a 50-year-old, and someone's into music, or someone's into politics, because you really do need a diverse background to do well as a team.
So that's hilarious, because like Sunday, we were watching some English TV on Acorn, which is like it carries all the English stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a show called Trivia. And
like a television show or like a game show?
No, it's a TV show.
Oh,
it's
cool. Like
a sitcom.
Yeah.
And there's the one guy who's really fucking serious about it. You got to have the sport guy. You got to have the all the four people on the team that know the different things.
Right.
And
the diversity of thought.
Total. So yeah, I mean, it ended up it just being me and this one of the neighbor guys,
right?
And we won.
Oh, you won! Yeah. Sweet.
It was hilarious.
Yet another way that you're a winner, Josh. Yeah.
The point spread between first, second, and third was 1 point.
No way.
It was close. It was 31, 30, and 29.
Was there a little prize or just for fun?
No, it was just for fun.
Yeah.
And then we went home we went over to one of the houses and continued to drink, and that's where that's when I did my drunk shopping for the projector.
Oh yeah, Josh did some drunk shopping.
Fucking online shopping is the worst.
It's thankfully I have not bought too many things hammered.
Yeah.
So I have been on online at 2 a.m. drunk looking at guitars though.
Yo man, I could see that being a real problem.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like I just do the just do my wife technique. Just like wait till tomorrow. Yeah. It's like all that wears off.
But
wait a day or two, and it's all over. Like that urge that you had is gone. So if anyone needs a capitalism coach, I can help them because.
Well, I'm glad I didn't listen to you, because we're gonna have fucking outdoor movie night.
Oh no, that's not a dumb purchase. Yeah. Like you didn't buy like a new Gucci handbag, right? I mean, you bought something practical that you're gonna be able to use. So
yeah, and we'll have to do a couple movies on.
Oh, dude, I'm into it.
Right on.
Yeah, I love the movies. All right, so I'm not saying we have a heavy topic, but we certainly have a personal topic to talk about today.
Yeah,
what are
definitely.
we talking about today, Josh?
Talking about the old man, fathers, daddies.
Talking about dads, our dads, our stepdads.
And well, it's amazing just how universal in the West the absent father, the bad father is. Really, it's kind of like it's amazing. I know. Let's see. I think I know one person whose parents have been together since they first were married.
So everyone else got divorced.
Everybody else I know it's either never married, stepdads, dad was never in the picture, kind of in the picture, don't want him in the picture. I mean, it's kind of it's all that.
Well, it's funny because like one of the racist things people will say about black people is these are a bunch of kids without dads. I don't think that's a race
Dude,
thing.
that is not a race thing.
No,
That's a dad thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's all. I mean, I haven't looked at the stats, but I have a feeling that it's very kind of universal.
Yeah, it really is. It's because, I mean, you don't have to take responsibility. You can dodge on the whole scene.
Yeah, and like unlike now where they can attach your wages, my dad didn't give my mom any child support.
Yeah, my dad didn't either.
He left her. So it was like 6, 4, and 2 or something like that. That's how old we were. And
yeah,
as far as I know, no child support ever. So back in the day, it was even easier to be an absentee father, right?
Yeah.
There was no financial consequence of it. You can end up going to jail now if they attach your wages and you don't pay.
Yeah,
I think they can put you in jail. So much more serious for the deadbeat dads.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you see that? Have you seen these old white men, speaking of dads, kind of coming forward and talking about their wife's reproductive like dangers that they were in and stuff? It's pretty cool. Some old timers, I just watched a video the other day. He's in his 60s, white older man, kind of like a Walls, but his wife would have died had the pregnancy gone to term, and she had to make the very difficult choice to get the abortion. And he says, I'm going to tell my daughters, no, we don't believe in abortion, so you're not going to have a mother anymore. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good programming, counter programming to the Trump, movement.
So where did you see that? It
was just a short like that was on YouTube.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's good when people from certain demographics step forward and say these things, like men, for example.
Yeah.
It's not just women that think this is important, right? Men who love their wives or their mothers and their daughters, or have an investment in this too.
We need that to happen. I mean, that's one of the things that I think has been missing from the whole conversation is men coming forward saying that, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I don't mean to get sidelined. The Republican mental illness is the lack of empathy unless something actually affects you. So again, Dick Cheney has a lesbian daughter. I think I'm saying that right. He feels differently about lesbians than other people do. He just does, right? If he loves his daughter, and I think he does.
I don't know. Does he feel different about? He didn't disown her?
I guess what I mean. No, I don't think so. No,
okay.
I don't think anything such thing happened. I just mean in general that you just set that aside. Once it's essentially like if you know a person of color, then you're less likely to be prejudiced against them.
Right.
But I think with Republicans, it's like abortion's wrong. Oh, a black man impregnated my daughter. Time for an abortion. Right. the ability to have empathy for something that doesn't actually affect you yet is the Republican mental illness.
And I mean that particular instance is its own fucking bag of worms.
Of course.
But
I mean the inability to reason properly until something actually affects you. So dads. So you call your dad your sperm donor. Am I saying that right?
My bio father.
Yeah,
I consider my stepdad my dad.
Of course
he's my dad. Yeah.
No, we have a great lifelong friends. They're a couple, and of course we know their daughters too. And the husband is a stepfather to the daughter, but she's called him dad her entire life.
Yeah. How has he been in picture the whole time?
Oh yeah.
Was there any kind of like when she was young? Was there some backlash? You're not my dad. That kind of. I think normal stuff, but I remember the first time I heard her call him dad. I was actually really touched. Oh yeah.
I had a stepdad that I didn't like, so I would have never called him dad, but it was actually kind of cool to see her call him dad. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's because he really is her dad in every single way. So
it's interesting to see, like, just in so many situations how the stepdad like steps up, and that gives me hope for men in that kind of situation.
Yeah, you'll see videos online. They're kind of a million of them, but it's pretty fun to watch. You'll see a stepdad giving a gift, and he'll open it up. It's the adoption papers.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and it's very emotional, of course. It's great.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And you said your father lived in Australia?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you lived with him the early part of your life.
So yeah, I mean, we were in San Francisco until I was 5, and then we moved over there.
You, your mom, and your dad.
Yeah, and
your sperm donor, as it were.
My little sister too.
Oh, okay.
She was little though. She was 2, I think, when we moved there.
So you didn't stay long enough for her to remember that, or?
I don't know how much she remembers because we left. Let's see, so 74. I think it was probably 2.5 years they left after that. 2 years, something like that.
And then you and your mom and sister came back to America?
So we came back to the States. me and my mom and my sister, we came back to the States to visit family. And then we went back in the time that we were gone. Fucking Art had an affair, and he kind of rubbed it in my mom's face, and my mom's all, "Fuck you, I'm out." And
Wow.
Took my sister because she couldn't take both of us.
Yeah.
And so I ended up staying staying there until I was like 8.
Okay.
Close. I think it was 8. So 7. Yeah. Cause I came back and I saw Star Wars.
So your mom couldn't afford to take both of you?
She couldn't deal with it. It would
Yeah.
have been too much coming back with no job, no house, no nothing.
Sure.
And trying to put it together.
And do you remember feeling excited to be with your dad at the time? Or?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I totally idolized him and
Yeah.
looked up to him, and I didn't, had no idea about all the
the awful
fucking
stuff.
dirty details
Yeah.
and everything. Although I knew that he was hanging out with a woman there, and
Sure.
although it didn't
Didn't register.
click what was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Art and I came back, and we surprised my mom, and that night he said that I had to choose whether I was going to stay with her or come back with him.
And you were 6.
I was 8 at this time.
So a ridiculous choice for an 8-year-old.
Ridiculous choice, and the obvious, obviously what I'm going to choose is stay with my mom because I hadn't seen her for years.
Right.
And was
he hurt after that?
Oh, he held that against me. He held that against me, I think, for the rest of his life.
So
He's such an asshole, dude. Like, what a fucking tool.
How do you spot someone that should have never had kids?
Dude.
Is upset to a child about something they should protect him from.
A shitty fucking decision that you forced on them,
It
right?
would be like a normal, mature adult. If he's hurt, he keeps that inside.
Right. Or he goes and talks to somebody about it. I mean, this guy's a fucking professor of psychology. Well, he was a professor of
Yeah.
psychology. Like, he fucking knows better. He knows what he's doing. Right. So yeah, that's the base story there. And then, just fucking trying to deal with my mom getting together with my current dad. And
Was there like immediately
real
like
dad.
some hostility, or did you?
they got, not immediately,
Yeah.
but as I got older, fuck yeah, I was an asshole.
So some growing pains too, right? I mean, like you were.
I was a fucking dick.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, but in general, they're like, obviously that transition is hard for a child.
Sure. No, I carried a lot inside for a long time. I had to work through it.
So was he able to remain calm when you were such a malcontent,
dude,
or?
I wouldn't have been able.
Yeah.
I hold nothing against Ron
Sure.
for any of that.
Right.
But at some point I was like, why am I such an asshole? and
You were angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I totally, like, that was me. Like, I was like, okay, you know what? You've been more a father to me than that asshole ever was. And I totally, now I consider him a dad.
And you thought that internally? You had that conversation with him?
Oh, I've had that conversation with him many times. I feel fucking awful about the way I was when I was a kid. Awful.
Right.
Like, it fucking awful. I feel horrible about how I was.
And, of course you want to apologize, but
Yeah.
since we are intelligent beings largely governed by our ductless glands and viscera, as Aldous Huxley used to say, I mean, how much are you even responsible for that behavior?
Sure.
I don't mean it wasn't true.
No. How much
But,
free will and all
I mean,
that. Like, absolutely. But
yeah, I get it.
And I
get it.
have had that conversation with my parents on a number of occasions.
And they must have appreciated that when you
think
said,
so.
I'm sorry, I was such a rough time and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
yeah.
And what about you? What's your...
My origin story. So my dad and my mom met in college. I don't know if I told you this. My mom is a cool lady in many ways, very educated, very cool, very wonderful. 2 cool things about my mom. Commencement speaker at her college, Martin Luther King, which blows my mind.
Wait, what do you mean?
Commencement speaker at my mom's college.
Oh, no shit.
Graduation was Martin Luther King.
Oh, fuck, damn, that's pretty cool.
I know. And then my mom saw the last live Beatles show. She was at Candlestick Park in '64 and saw the last Beatles show.
How old was she when she saw that?
Well, she would have been 64, so a little math. I guess a little over 20.
Early 20s?
Yeah, so yeah, pretty cool.
Damn.
I know. Yeah. So they
So
were.
she's the reason they quit touring.
Yeah, exactly. They saw, who's that mean lady?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I can't. No, I'm done. That's great. Yeah, there's like, what is it, 45,000 people there. Yeah, that's that lady right there.
That one right there.
Yeah, yuck. So yeah, they met in college, and then let's see here. Now I don't know when he joined this cult, but my dad was in a cult.
Oh, that's right.
But he divorced her when I was 6, right? So when I was very young. To go run away to California to join this cult. I don't know how he found out about him, and I don't know how long he was in the cult before they divorced.
Do you feel comfortable naming the cult?
Oh, well, it was a cult that was formed by Sharon Gans. You wouldn't know who that is. She's been in one film that was Fahrenheit 451, but she was an actress, and so was her husband. I think maybe known more for stage stuff.
This is in Sonoma.
Well, there's actually a great article I could have you read on it. It's wonderful.
Okay.
Talked about all the wife swapping and the abuse and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, they were a cult through and through.
Okay.
Abusive and it was kind of an acting cult. So when I was a kid, my dad and I would be on the streets of San Francisco selling tickets to these plays. Why anybody would want to go to these plays or why they sat through them, I don't know. I'm sure there was some talent involved.
It was the 60s.
But it was just a sham. It was basically a shill corporation for this cult.
So they'd invite you, they'd watch the thing, and then they'd try and...
that part I don't know.
Pick out the ones.
I mean, the funny thing is this cult, every couple winters, we would go to Montana and fish and hunt and all that stuff. And those were, for kids, they were great.
Yeah.
They didn't mind little kids being there because they never asked questions. So the kids had a great time. Apparently at the age of 13, my sister just told me, yeah, that's when you get to stop going. Because that's when you start asking questions, what's going on here? So, yeah, there's not, I don't know if there's any alleged like child abuse or something like that. But
right. At least, yeah, nothing that you know about.
No, the funny thing is, my dad was in a cult. My grandfather, so that's my mom's dad, was also in a cult. He wrote the definitive book on Kundalini, followed this guy named Afrijan, who was, I don't know if that, I guess Eastern, what I would say. I'm not sure if it's Hindu-based or what that is. But the funny is they hated each other. Even though they were both...
Dad and Grandpa?
Yeah, hated each other. I remember once I looked at my grandfather's misshapen clavicle, whatever this is. I'm like, what happened there? He's like, oh, yeah, I got in a fight with your dad and I broke my clavicle.
Jesus.
But anyway, I just think it's hilarious that they hated each other and both were in such separate cults. Like, you guys have a lot in common. Yeah. Maybe you'll get along.
The apple, the tree, yeah.
So back in those times, I remember being a child thinking my dad was kind of fun. And people who knew him back in that time said he had a sense of humor. Well, that didn't last very long. So he got worse and worse and drinking and more narcissistic. And yeah, it was a long 40 years to, it was, he estranged a lot of people. So
he's no longer with us, right?
No, he died during the pandemic. So he did his best to kill himself with alcohol, and that didn't work. So he drunk drove, got in a big accident, and then was in a hospital. And of course, that's during COVID. So this is the early days of COVID. You couldn't get into a hospital, right? They would not allow any visitors at all.
Yeah.
And my sister and I were going to go travel to Kentucky to go see him one more time. Not that I had cut him off years ago, but my wife's like, why would you do that? Why would you let him be hurtful to you one more time?
Yeah.
And I said, here's the thing, like everyone gets a last chance. I'm giving him a last chance. I don't have high hopes. Now that flight got canceled because of COVID, basically. And she said, God created a worldwide pandemic to kill your father so he couldn't hurt you one more time. So not funny, but a pretty good way, a pretty good turn of phrase. So as awesome as my mom is, she didn't make great choices in men. So that when he left, I was 6. I lived with him a couple of years. That was a mistake. And then I lived with my mom after that. The couple of years that I lived with him, he and my stepmother worked constantly. So imagine Jesse kind of listening to the radio all day long in a house that's empty. So like,
Jesus,
it's a wonder that my brain isn't completely smooth. So, I mean, like literally hours and hours and hours by myself. Didn't have a big friend group because I'd only lived in the city for a little bit.
At 6?
Yeah.
Damn.
6, 7, 8, the kind of like 8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, So there's that. And then my mom, by the time I'm 12, marries a Jewish fanatic who's a lawyer. So this guy is one of those kind of fair weather Jewish people, like goes to temple during the high holidays and acts all sanctimonious.
Okay.
And just goes on and on about Israel. Oh God, everything with Israel. You know what I mean? Like if I had the courage to say, what about the Palestinians? He would have shouted me down. That would not have gone over well. I remember my stepfather, complete garbage person, but I remember there was always a picture on the wall of him and Cesar Chavez. I'm like, oh, I wish I'd have asked him about that.
You never did?
No.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have said what was the case, what happened, you know what I mean? Anyway, he famously defended Archie Fain. Archie Fain, I think, murdered 2 people, served a ridiculous prison sentence. It was like 7 years. I don't know what it was, but it was insane.
Who did he murder and what?
So it was murder. It wasn't drunk driving. I don't know how he murdered them, but he murdered 2 people, I believe. I'm saying that right. And there was a massive letter writing campaign to keep him in prison. Because, of course, 7 years for 2 murders is...
Nothing.
No. But he famously won a landmark case that basically said, you cannot overturn a judge's ruling. I mean, it seems obvious to us now. But back in the day, there was a massive letter writing campaign to keep this asshole in prison. And then the day he got out of the prison, he decided, let's have him spend the night at our house. So... everybody's fine, everyone's alive, but my mom wasn't pleased that he murdered
a fucking double murderer.
Yeah, could spend the night because he had nowhere to go that night.
Have you met my wife? Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah. So, I got bar mitzvah and I had 2 horrible examples of religion in my father and my stepfather. So let's just say I was turned off. I mean, if I hadn't been bored to death by being in temple all the time, because it is fucking boring.
Dude.
You were talking about Shalom Ashlander last week. Read his account of conservative Judaism. It's insane. It's as crazy as any religion in the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember going to, because my mom put me in the local Catholic school, because she did it because, she wasn't particularly religious or anything like that. But she thought it would be a better education. And
right.
I probably could use some discipline because I was out of fucking control.
Yeah. And did it work or?
Oh no, nothing.
Okay.
Worked. But and going to those fucking things, it was, oh my God, the fucking so boring. Holy crap. They just drone on. I mean, and I remember the first time I went to the church, we ended up going into, they had, what is it? Communion. Mm-hmm. The body of
Christ, yeah.
The old zombie
the
body.
wafer. Yeah.
And but something needs to happen before that. You have to be confirmed, I think, or something like whatever the fuck the name is for it. And I hadn't been confirmed. And everybody's getting in line to eat a cracker, and I'm like, I guess I'm gonna get in line. And I was fucking terrified I was going to go to hell because I ate that stupid fucking cracker, dude.
Wait, but you ate the body of Christ, which is the good thing, though.
Oh, well, not if you're not confirmed. If you're not confirmed, I think it's confirmed. I think that's the right word.
So is that the equivalent of a bar mitzvah? Like it's a rite of passage for a youngster?
No, well, being confirmed, yes.
Yeah.
That indoctrinates you completely into the Jeebus.
Catholicism.
Yeah.
But once you do that, you can take the body of Christ.
Then you can, and then you can also do confession and all that stuff.
Right. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad, having just saw my little sister the other day, I told you, I said to my sister, do the kids remember Grandpa Mike? Like, what, do they remember him? She goes, well, let's put it this way. A few years ago, she was able to visit my dad in Kentucky for just one day, and he took the girls to church twice.
No, this is your stepdad, or
that's my actual dad.
Your actual dad before
even it wasn't temple, it was church. But I mean, I said to the girls, "Oh my God, did you guys fall asleep?" They go, "Yeah," like immediately.
Dude, oh my God.
Yeah, church. Oh my God. There's that Simpsons episode. So oftentimes there are funny things spelled in front of the church at the Simpsons.
Oh yeah, totally.
There's that display that says, "Oh holy God" or whatever. But this one time before they go into the church, it's the outside shot. The establishing shot, and it says, no really loud snoring, which I love because they concede you're going to sleep because it's so fucking boring.
It's just going to happen.
You can't snore just really loudly.
Keep it down.
Yeah.
of all the people that you have what's the dad situation? Are they around, or are there
Right.
people that have been that have had their parents together since the
That's
beginning?
a good question. So my wife had two wonderful parents, and they were together the entire time. But it's hard to think of a family, where they had intact parents their entire life.
Yeah.
It's not really a thing.
The only person I know is B. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But my brother, not by blood, but my brother in Boston, his dad, he is learning, has kind of betrayed him in a really horrible way.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's really.
You mean like it happened years ago and he's just finding out now?
Well, let's see. I'm now the details are a little hazy.
Yeah.
But so I don't want to speak out of turn here. But he's always had kind of a hard time with his dad. He drinks a lot. He's Haitian. So there's definitely like
His dad drinks a lot.
His dad drinks a lot, yeah, and he's Haitian, so he has ideas about masculinity and things that don't match up with my brother at all.
Yeah,
and it's currently happened that his brother, real brother, has kind of been putting things into his dad's head about him stealing money from him. And he's like, now he believes this and he's telling everybody, and it's really tearing my man apart. Right?
So he's besmirching his name.
Yeah.
Saying my brother stole from you.
Right. And
Jesus.
And his he's believing it. Now he's telling people, and the number keeps going up. And
what's the incentive to do that? Just competition?
I think there's been a souring within the family. I mean, which, it's interesting. I see that kind of happening a lot with people, is that there's weird things that happen with family as you get older.
And like infighting and kind of petty things, you mean?
Yeah, but then, shit blows up. There's like just different ideas of things. But anyway, so it's been really hurting him. It's been affecting him a lot, because he's been trying to help him take care of himself. He's the only one of his siblings that actually like is there and dealing with him, and he's had a stroke, and he's like all this stuff. He's health problems.
So the other siblings have kind of like abandoned.
They don't live close by, except
they
for his
helped.
brother, but they haven't really helped. Yeah. And now, for whatever reason, they've kind of turned the old man against him, and it's really been tearing him up.
Man.
And he said something to his mom.
Yeah.
And she's all, you know what? He's not worthy of your respect. And she kind of laid out some shit that he'd done throughout his life.
Okay.
To her, to his family,
so she
to him.
gave him some hard truth about dad.
Some hard truth, but it was in order to kind of relieve him of this idea that he should worry about this. It's all fucked up, but
right.
But in the end, it's like, this is not an honorable man. Don't waste your feelings on this.
Interesting.
And I mean, I see that he's not the only one. I see this with so many fucking people. It's
sad.
It's crazy. It's insane. I don't know if it's changing. What you hope to see is each generation trying to do progressively better by their children. And, I think that there's ideas that are coming around, but I don't know how widespread they are. And I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to know if we're progressing as a society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my friend neighbor, his old man was a piece of shit too. And, it's crazy. Everybody has a fucking piece of shit. Old man. But the way I see him treating his son is so very impressive. Like watching him give his son the space to explore who he is and feel safe in being who he is amazing. Great. Like I'm not a dad, so I really, I got no skin in the game, as it were, but watching him do this is like so impressive.
But obviously you can spot good parenting, right? I mean, you can
like to
admire
think so.
his work despite his lack of fathering, you could admire what
Yeah.
he's done.
Yeah, I'd like to
without-
think so, you know, and,
Yeah.
and he, you know, the dad is kind of he's, you know, little athletic, and I could see him like in some way expecting a different type of child,
Right.
but at some point he realized that doesn't mean anything. And my kid's going to be my kid, and I got to give him space to explore that. And that's what I like. I really like seeing that.
That's commendable. Yeah.
And there's a guy at the gym that I see. You know, actually, there's a few people at the gym I see doing that with their kids.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's nice seeing that. What I mean, do you see any hope for the fucking future generations?
Well, it'd be interesting to see what fathers are like 100 years from now. So
Right, that's it exactly.
There's our fathers, and then there's their fathers.
And my granddad was a motherfucker. I loved him. You know, he was, but it would have been rough being his kid.
Well, so yeah, I mean that's obviously our fathers and their fathers have gone through things that we can't barely imagine, right? Because so our grandfathers went through the Depression, which is something we've never had to contend with.
Fuck no.
And then of course World War II and the Korean War and things like that. But it'd be interesting to see how much progress we make 100 years from now, because
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's always seems to be world events that shake people.
And I feel like it's more like a shrinking demographic than disappearing overnight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I mean, my granddad, he spanked Art one time, and
Yeah.
my grandma said, if you ever touch him again, I'm gonna fucking take him, and you'll never see us again.
Wow.
Right? And that shut it down. But
Good for her.
his old man, my great granddad, would fucking come home drunk and line up the kids and beat them. Right.
Oh my God.
Until my granddad hit 16 and he fucking fought back, kicked his ass, and then went and joined the military.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, like it's definitely like in the overall scheme of things, they probably have gotten better by the generation.
Wow.
And but that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough.
A friend of mine, to speak profoundly about a parent's influence and bond to a child. So a friend of mine has a friend who was abused by her father, sexually abused by her father. And she told me this story about 10 years ago. So let's say this child is now grown up to be 60, right? She said at 60, her friend was at her father's deathbed seeking his approval.
Her friend?
So, sorry, I said a few weird things there. What I mean to say is this person who was sexually abused was in her 60s at her father's deathbed seeking his approval. So,
okay.
Like, if you want to know how powerful that bond is, right, you by all rights never talk to him again, right?
Yeah,
you're out of my
fucking A.
life. But she's still, on his deathbed seeking his approval, despite what he did to her.
That's amazing to me. Like I fucking cut Art the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
He was out.
Was that easier when you started to get close to your stepfather or not? Like, did that help or?
So it was, I basically cut him out for a while, and then he ended up having like a, I don't know, quadruple bypass or something, fat bastard. And so I then getting in touch with him and kind of talking to him. And then in 2003, he flew all of us and my grandmother, his mother, out to Samoa, and we were in Samoa for a while.
Oh, cool. And how old were you then?
2003, so 34, 33, 34. But
and did
my wife and I went.
Did he since pass away or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, I was like, okay, well, fucking, you can at least fly me to fucking Samoa.
Yeah.
So we went, and it was the whole family thing. It was cool seeing my little brothers, my little sister, and I loved my grandma. I was always in touch with her. I would call her every Sunday because.
Where did she live?
Well, she lived in San Diego.
Okay.
But sometime after that, I was just like, you know what? I got nothing. I got nothing to say to you. And that was it. I just kind of fucking stopped talking to him. And then when he died, I guess it was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that.
So that's 2003 all the way up to 2022 or something? Or
yeah, I really didn't talk to him.
Oh, so there was like a 20-year period almost.
Yeah.
That, wow.
Yeah. And my little brother called, and he's all, it's probably dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's all, if you want to talk to him, you should talk to him now.
Yeah.
I was like, let me think about it. And then I guess the next day or something, they're like, too late, he died. And I'm like, I guess the decision's made for me.
Yeah. But it doesn't sound like you had giant regrets about it.
No, not at all. That was one of the things, like, I was like, fuck it. He really didn't deserve it. I'm not going to make him feel good on his deathbed for being an asshole.
No, and the words that you just spoke earlier, though, he's not deserving of your attention and love. That's a good thing to say to people.
Yeah.
And sometimes they need to hear that.
Yeah, for sure.
That, have some self-worth. Be aware that you're worthy of love and worthy of, people treating you well.
Yeah.
And weed out the people that don't.
Yeah, because nothing would have changed for that whole time period.
Yeah, he would have been the same.
He would have been the same.
Was he a narcissist?
Yes. I think he went into psychology so he could manipulate people. I think that was one of the things that he.
But he was a professor, not a clinical psychologist.
A professor, yeah. But what he would do is he would go around to he'd go around to different police departments around the world and coach them on how to do policing tactics properly.
But I mean, like, so even awful people can do good things.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always interesting the professionals that have a career in something and then are completely unable to apply that to their personal life.
Like the divide,
Right.
the compartmentalization that must go on to separate what you do and how you try and work with other people and then your own life. It's amazing.
But like my dad was a teacher, especially loved teaching young kids. And
was he good?
Well, so that's the thing. My dad actually was pretty good with young kids. So I remember when my wife finally met my dad, I'm like, he's fun, he's great. I'm like, well, he was when we were kids.
Right.
And when she met him as an adult, and I was an adult, obviously, that wasn't that fun. So
that wasn't fun at all.
My dad likes kids because he can manipulate them because they idolize him.
Right.
And if you're a good teacher, you get idolized by your kids, obviously.
Yeah.
But I remember when my dad wanted to teach at a college, and I'm like, there are teachers like my wife and my mother that love children and want to help them. And then there are people like my dad who want to be idolized.
Right.
That's why he wants to be a college professor.
It's the professor that wants to teach or the professor that wants to sleep with his students.
Exactly. Yeah. So I totally know what you're talking about. I mean, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I just totally spaced out right there.
Yeah.
I lost the track that we were on. So yeah, we lived with our stepdad. Just going back to that real quick here. We lived with him like, I don't know. We all moved in. I was 12 years old, and then I stayed at home a pretty long time. I think I lived at home until 24, 25. And much as I hated him, it was great not paying rent.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was an awful, terrible, mean. He was kind of manic depressive. So unlike my dad, he could actually be very charming and fun when he was happy.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, he actually, part of us did really love him because when he was on, it was kind of fun to be around him.
But that was rare, or
yeah, exactly.
Not
He was a
often
shouter.
enough. Yeah.
He wasn't a puncher and a hitter, but he was a verbal abuser. So it's funny because I've never been physically abused, but I don't. Basically, if you've ever seen an adult screaming at a child, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
I think if I saw it now, I would call the police, or I would say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't know how people who are physically abused feel about this. I just know that when you're a child and you're being screamed at like that, it is. I can't imagine something more.
It's got to be terrifying.
It is,
especially somebody that is supposed to love you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing though is when I met my wife, I was 20, and boy was her dad amazing. I told you, on Father's Day, I showed you a picture of him. Like, that's my dad. This is the guy that taught me everything I know about kindness and empathy and just a selfless person that loved his kids. And think about this, like a poor kid growing up with almost no education in Louisiana, but he could tell you more about being a human than anyone.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember, so he's like the cheeriest, happiest guy in the world. I mean, like a lovely person by all accounts. When you'd go to Safeway with him, you'd think this is a 10-minute trip. No, it took an hour because he had to say hello to everybody and talk to them because they all loved him. So again, a cheery, funny guy. One day, we're at my wife's parents' house, and a couple's walking their dog. One of the dogs is not on a leash, as is common with a lot of these neighborhoods. No dog, big dog not on a leash, and the dog is chasing my wife's cat. And my stepfather, lovely, nice person as he is, goes out there and I'm not my stepfather, my father-in-law, sorry. And he goes, "That dog hurts my cat. I'm gonna fucking kill him." So for him to say something like that, he's serious. But I mean, and it's kind of a shock to hear him talk like to that. So anyway, there's a couple. The man marches up to him with kind of a stern look, like, "I'm going to get into some shit with you." And so this is what my stepfather or my father-in-law says. He goes, "If you touch one hair in my head, I'm going to own everything you own, including your asshole." How does he come up with that on the spot? But it's funny how, I mean, the kindest person I ever met, but like completely aware of who he was, his own boundaries. When he was in the Navy, so he's
he was a Navy guy. Yeah.
So he's 21 years old, and he's got this, I guess, a sergeant, someone right above him, that's berating him, and he's just an asshole. And my father-in-law would salute, but he made it clear he was not a fan. So this guy is upset that my father-in-law doesn't love him, or doesn't at least like him, or pretend to like him, and all that stuff. So he marches my father-in-law into the CO. Says to the CO, "This isn't right. He's got to like me. He's got to like me." And my father-in-law's like, "No, I don't. I have to salute you, but I don't have to like you." And the CEO goes, "Yeah, that's true. He has to salute you. He doesn't have to like you." But I just love at fully formed 21. Dude, I had no such boundaries at 21 years old.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
How did he acquire that? How did he acquire that sense of self-worth growing up dirt poor in Louisiana?
I think that's why.
The Navy?
Well, I think that, growing up dirt poor in Louisiana in the fucking, the 30s?
Right, exactly.
So he would have been in World War II
Yes.
for the Navy. So,
Right.
I mean, I think that kind of, people at 21 back then were like really 45.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? See. Like they're not the same fucking thing.
They had to grow up fast.
Yeah, and with that they had a real like solid sense of who they were fairly early. I get it.
I get it.
I mean, not everybody, of course, but I feel like that the greatest generation really did have the need to grow up quick.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we hear about these stories about World War II, and it's,
dude,
could you imagine me 19 years old in Europe fighting? Terrifying. I'm not even an adult yet, really. How am I doing this? No, I don't know how they did it.
Well, and that time that was a war worth fighting, right? There hasn't been one of those since then. Everything else is, everything's been murky.
You and I, you seen the Oppenheimer? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
I recommend it.
I want to see it. It's 3 hours. It's hard to cut out 3 hours.
But as recently as the other day, I was buying into the Hiroshima and Nagasaki had to happen to end the war. Oh, that's fucking bullshit. That's not true. We've been told that basically our entire lives, that ended the war. No, absolutely not.
I had heard that there was a plan in motion for them to surrender.
Their navy was defeated,
and they did it anyway in order to make a fucking point.
Well, did they make a point? Yes,
they made a point, but
it
wasn't just for them.
Slaughter people unnecessarily? Yes,
absolutely.
So,
but it was more a message to everybody after the war,
right,
than it was to win it. Because I've heard that. I don't know details. I haven't looked at that part of history, but so that doesn't shock me at all. I
guess it's just interesting how this stuff seeps into our unconscious.
It's taught to us.
Of course,
it's part
of the whitewashing.
It's
right?
American propaganda,
and it is whitewashing.
Yeah,
to say that. That's why we know this because we were taught that.
Right,
it's simply not true. Eisenhower was against it. It was like MacArthur. It was like one of the most famous generals in our history was against it.
Yeah.
So
Eisenhower or McCarthy would have been the two, right?
Right. So anyway, back on topic.
Yeah.
So did you? How old was you? Wait, I'm sorry. How old were you when your mother met your stepdad, or when they got married, or whatever? Like, were you in you're a teenager?
No. I was younger than that.
Okay.
I would have been like 9 or 10.
Right. Okay. And then did things calm down for you like when you were 18 or like what you said you were kind of a dick. So like, when did things mellow
my
out for you?
20s.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I had to like and at first it was fine, but then, I got all jacked up on hormones and fucking lost my mind. And that I had to like work through it. And so I'd say probably early mid 20s is kind of when I started to change my mind.
And when did you move out of the house?
17. I was out.
Okay.
Fuck it.
So just living with a roommate in a shitty little house or something?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in your 20s, you finally mellowed out a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I really like probably 20, like when I kind of started ironing all that out would have been 24 or 25. Okay. And then I personally started mellowing out around like 27.
And when did you meet your wife? How old were you when you met your wife?
There was 30.
Okay. So she came at the right time.
She missed a lot of the bad stuff.
You would have been a big loser at 21.
She would not have wanted
anything to do. She would have had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big dork when my wife let me. That's for sure. Yeah, she's like, you got a haircut. She did all the things that a girlfriend at 16 would have done pretty good job. Right. She's like, so when I was 20, she's all, oh my God, dude, yeah, we can help you out a little bit here.
Did you have the fawns do?
A big old Jufro, that's for sure. I was a metalhead, so I wanted the big long straight hair, but that wasn't a thing. So I more like wanted to be in a metal band, looked like I was in a funk band. So
did you ever iron
it? No. Do people do that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is pre-internet, so someone would have had to have taught me that.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know people did that.
Yeah.
Does that fuck your hair up?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not great.
But so people could take a basically curly like bush hair and iron it out and make it look straight.
Oh yeah.
With curling iron? Not a curling iron, an actual iron.
You can do it with a curling iron, but the budge way is an iron.
And how long does that last all day, or how long does that last for?
I think it depends on like the product that you put in afterwards.
Oh Jesus.
Because I think that you need to use Aquanet or something along those lines to keep it in place, or something like that.
It's too bad I didn't I remember the punk rockers at our school I revered the punk rockers at our school. I didn't know much about punk rock in high school, but the coolest, smartest guys I knew in school were punk rockers. So, but I wasn't really in their friend group. I think my life would have had a slightly different trajectory had I hung out with the punk rock kids.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I always thought, they were always the smartest kids in class, that I could tell.
That's who I am.
One kid, he did his report. I don't remember what the subject was, but he gets up and he writes something on the board. He goes, "What's this say?" And a kid raises his hand and he goes, "Metallica." And he goes, "No, it says Metallica." So my brother, dude, like, it's funny because a lot of people have an older brother that's cool, like turn him on into music. That was my younger brother.
That's funny.
So my little brother, for some reason, was hooked up to the right people, and he was hooked up to the punk rockers. And he would go see No Means No. He'd go see Operation Ivy. And I remember, dude, my brother, so before alternative comedy was a thing, there was my brother. Before David Letterman, before all these, now alternative comedy's everywhere. Yeah. Patton Oswalt, who we saw, was in Ratatouille. That's, when you consider the roots of alternative comedy, that's a pretty amazing accomplishment.
That's a huge thing from who he started out to. Yeah, absolutely.
My brother, two little anecdotes about my little brother. Number one, Army recruiters would call him, when he turned 18. And he goes, "Well, you see, the thing is, I shoot heroin and I worship the devil." And they stopped calling him. Fucking awesome.
That's the way to
now,
do
this
it.
is my favorite story. My little brother, you could bring tapes and submit them to the quad. They'd play music during the quad. So you could take, the student body president or whoever would have a little, boom box. You could bring him tapes. And so if it said Flock of Seagulls, okay, this seems appropriate. My brother would make subliminal tapes. So literally, we would constantly talk about worshiping the devil. Well, he made his own homemade subliminal tapes where one boombox would play while he whispered subliminal things, and another boombox would record it. So the funny thing is, this happened a few times, and he got so bored that no one noticed that. And at the end of one of them, he just shouted out, "Hail Satan!" basically, because the subliminal tapes were working. Essentially, no one could hear the whispering. He just got bored, and at the end, I saw that was funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So my brother, the alternative comic. But no, he got me into Portishead. He got me into Massive Attack. He got me into Kruder Dorfmeister.
Oh yeah.
The first time I ever heard hip hop, my little brother played it for me. It was that old school killer hip hop from the 80s. So.
So is your brother, is he a father now?
Oh, no, he doesn't. He should, probably should have been. He's a great guy. I said kid.
Yeah.
He's only 4 years younger than I am,
He's
so
a
he's
kid,
52.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but he would have been a great dad. So my sister has kids.
Yeah.
Got a couple, siblings with kids, couple without. But yeah.
That's amazing, all the people I know that didn't have kids. Really.
Yeah, I think that's more our generation.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I think our generation is one of the first to go, maybe kids shouldn't be a perfunctory part of my existence.
This isn't necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we must be. I would imagine the first generation that thought that.
I mean, we've got to be the first generation that's like been exposed to birth control for our entire life.
That's true. Right. That was
So
an acquired
we've
right
had
in the 60s.
An option.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Well, women have had the option to do that.
We were talking about crazy religious dads. I just started a Fresh Air about this lady who was raised with a Rastafarian father. And I just started into it. But, I mean, clearly he's as crazy and insane as any religious person.
Dude, Rastas are some of the most racist, misogynistic motherfuckers out there. Hardcore. I mean, I love me like some fucking old school reggae and like old school ska.
Yeah.
Like I love that shit.
First or second wave ska?
So I like first and second.
Yeah.
I like first and two-tone, but
Yeah.
once you get into like Rancid and Op Ivy and shit like that, it's fucking whiny white guys.
Sure.
Dude. It's not the real deal.
No, I like the specials.
The two-tone, the whole two-tone
All that
scene
shit's
was
great.
super great, and I love like the beginning reggae to like through the 80s.
Right.
And there's some good stuff now too. But total tangent. Those motherfuckers are crazy.
Oh, they are.
Like I couldn't imagine having a true Rasta as a dad.
No, her whole book she just wrote is about surviving.
So she wrote a book about it.
Yeah. It sounds great. I'll get you the author later. It sounds good.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
But I mean, like a friend of mine, he's gay. He's traveled around the world, and the reason I say he's gay, it's germane to the story. Someone had mentioned Jamaica. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm not a fan."
Yeah.
And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, their songs are about love and kindness, and they don't like homosexual people. Like they're super homophobic.
Super
in Jamaica.
homophobic, man.
So
yeah, and I mean the whole Selassie. I mean it's just so fucking. It's so bizarre. It's such a strange religion.
Yeah. But it's so funny that like all around the world, all these civilizations came up with their own religion, and many of them were corrupted, right? I mean, like, of course there's Buddhism. There are religions that are kind and peaceful. Absolutely.
Although, dude, there's a branch of Buddha. There's a crazy branch of Buddhism
I'm
too.
sure there is.
Like there's the nationalist Buddhists in Myanmar,
right?
But then there's also this really super weird fucking like white supremacist Buddhism that's out
no
there.
way.
It's fucking crazy.
I haven't heard about that.
They did this.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Oh, I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, it's completely insane.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean,
yeah, they're really the only religion I think that is truly one of peace is the Jainists.
Is it which one is super like into learning and education? Is it Jesuit?
The Jesuits, yeah, that's the Catholics, but
right,
that's its own fucking
of course
ball of wax.
Of course,
but the Jainists are the ones that basically they're vegetarian. The strict adherents wear masks so they don't inhale germs and kill them. They sweep the ground.
I've heard all the
them,
jokes.
Right?
Yeah, so they try to not kill anything.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, can't argue with that.
No, I
mean,
that's it's a little crazy, but at least
I mean,
they're not
the germ thing gets
they're not
extreme.
killing anything.
But I mean, I taught my son not to kill spiders when I was little.
I know.
Spiders
Absolutely.
were terrifying to me, and I was a murderer. I'm a reformed murderer.
A reformed spider killer.
So I mean, Coltrane picks up spiders with his bare hands sometimes and throws them out in the garden. So
I look in the bathtub every time I get in there. I put them outside, or I just get them out.
And and we used to kill black widows.
That's the only one.
But the thing is, though, like
that's
if
the only
you know
one.
black widows, they kind of keep to themselves in these odd little spots that they're not going to sting the cat. Right? They're just not going to happen. So I don't even kill black widows anymore.
Really? Do you
I'll
move
throw them
them
outside.
You throw? So you just throw them outside?
And they are beneficial insects. So, and that's the thing. I'm allergic to wasps.
They're cool as fuck, too.
Yeah. Oh no, they are. But my wife just talked me out of killing a wasp nest. She goes, and I am deathly allergic. But it's like, if you know wasps, they kind of keep to themselves.
Do you carry an EpiPen?
Yeah. So if I go disc golfing, I'll have an EpiPen with me.
Because I mean, we're the same way. We've got wasps. I won't fucking. I really have a hard time killing them because they're just fucking being wasps.
Well, I used to kill them because I was scared of them.
Yeah, sure.
But now it's like, if you know wasps, they keep themselves. It's the fucking yellow jacks that are the assholes.
Yeah.
If the animal kingdom has an asshole, it's flies and yellow jackets.
And ticks.
Yeah.
There's no fucking reason for a tick.
Yeah. Except for the natural evolution of nature, right? Which is to kill things as fast as it grows them, right? Yeah, we had in Louisville, Kentucky, we had a barn, and my only enduring memory of that barn is 6 years old, walking in the barn for a little bit, coming out covered in ticks. Oh. So like my mom had to like,
dude, brutal. Yeah. That's like the leech on the balls and Stand By Me.
Oh, I totally had forgotten that.
Oh.
Yeah, of course that was medicine in the 1600s, right? Apply more leeches.
You know what? That and maggots are being used in medicine today. Maggots clean
Is there
wounds.
science to that?
There is, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
the maggots. You have a major fucking wound with gangrene setting in. Drop the maggots on there, and it eats all the dead flesh.
Really?
And then you can actually heal from there.
So is that like emergency procedure? Like in other words, if you're out in the middle of nowhere?
Serious fucking wound shit. Okay. No, it's in hospitals.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, they actually use in hospitals, which I couldn't imagine. Fucking sitting there with maggots on your leg, eating the fucking dead flesh off of your wound, dude. Oh,
can I just not watch it?
That's like, just watch like horror movies while you're fucking having that happen. Oh my god, that's like the worst fucking thing.
I mean, this is when you think how science has progressed, we live in a world where there are fecal transplants.
Yeah, actually.
So I mean, it's pretty fucking wild that is a thing, but it is. Tig Notaro, I think, needed that. Tig Notaro, a great comedian.
What happened? Oh,
she had it might have been cancer.
She had cancer, and then the treatment.
But she definitely needed a transplant.
The treatment kills all the good internal biome.
Exactly.
And then what comes back is not necessarily great, so they have to actually reintroduce it with a poop pill.
Yeah,
a poop pill.
Yes.
All right, we're getting a little off the side.
Yeah, that's okay. Here. I didn't mean to wander that far away, but. All right. So have you got any bad dad stories?
I mean, I've got plenty of them, right? I mean, I remember kids when I was a kid, their dads just not, like just torturing them with like, I'll come and pick you up on this day, and just never showing up. Dude.
Oh, that's terrible. That's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It just fucking, it's heartbreaking.
I don't have like that kind of story. It's funny because like my dad said some horrible things to me in writing, and I kept that email. I'm not excited about opening it, and it's like literally like he said things so vile that my wife is the only person in the world that knows about it.
Yeah,
like my brothers and sisters don't know about it, and they won't. Why would I show them that? I just kept it as a reminder.
Have they had their experience with him
God, dude. Okay, so I have a bad dad story. So my dad thought it was funny to sneak a fake gun into my brother's bag when he was going to the airport. Funny, right? That's a prank.
What the fuck, dude?
So he gets caught at security. We're talking like hours and hours and hours with, the transportation agency,
TSA,
security agency, and was banned from flying for 6 months.
Holy shit.
And when my brother confronted my dad, being the narcissist that he is, got upset. And basically, like, not only did he not apologize, like, fuck you, basically.
What, pussy? It was funny.
Yeah. So, that was my dad. When my dad's dad passed away, so my grandfather in Louisville lived to 100. And when my grandfather, who was a pretty great guy, when he did pass away, my one time I asked my father about it, I said, how do you feel about losing your father? And my dad got really angry and said, how do you think I feel? That was the end of it. We never talked about it again. That was the only conversation I had with my dad about losing his father.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like the fact that he just like said that, and then you're like, well, I don't know.
That's why I asked.
that's the opener to a conversation.
Yeah. So
yeah.
He's crazy.
But I mean, like, just kind of extended. Like, any friends? Do you have like that
crazy dad stories?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just endless. I feel like.
Yeah. trying to think here.
If not, I'm just
yeah, I don't know
checking.
if I have any remarkable stories that I can think of right now. So much as like just all the horrific mistakes these parents make. It just if you remember the film Parenthood, Keanu Reeves is good in that. He's like 17 or 18, and he says, the quote I always remember is, he says, "You got to have a license to drive, you got to have a license to fish, but any butt-reaming asshole can have a kid." And it's like so true.
Yeah.
Like all these things we govern, and license and tax, anyone can have a kid.
Anybody
and
can
I think
have a
the
kid.
proof is out there.
I mean, Idiocracy is a documentary, not a fucking movie.
Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump was allowed to have kids. You can find quotes from him where he's talking about how sexy his daughter is.
Dude, don't.
Why did you have kids? Yeah. So the DNC last night, they were comparing Trump's, let's say, resume to Kamala Harris's, and the young lady that was doing it was incredible. Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. Donald Trump was prosecuted. So just good stuff like that. So
Yeah, are you going to watch any more of that?
Definitely. I mean, there's always a good speech or two you got to see.
Yeah.
I think it's time to feel good about politics again.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely watch some of it, at least in snippets. So.
I don't know. I'm so sick of it all.
You're sick of politics?
American politics is the most ridiculous fucking bullshit. And especially since they've allowed money in, it's so hard for me to watch. And I mean, next week we're doing the episode about Waltz, but so I'll have to delve into some of it. But it is so fucking difficult because it is so goddamn dysfunctional, and I fucking don't like any of them, really.
For me, it's our electorate that really is the most compelling to me, because yes, we have stupid and misinformed politicians, but they would have no sway if our electorate was informed.
Well, and not only that, I mean, and now we're getting completely off the subject.
Sorry,
so
yeah.
I'll button it up.
Yeah.
But because this is me. I think about the problem is the fucking electoral college is a holdover from the goddamn fucking South, the Confederates. Fuck the Confederacy and fuck all the bullshit that they fucking have unleashed on this day and age. This, what's happening now, is a direct result of the Civil fucking War. The South has fucking risen again.
Yeah.
And the only way to get rid of it is get rid of money in politics, get rid of fucking the electoral college, one man, one person, one vote.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. Okay.
I'm not really excited about representation either. I'm not excited about the fact that we have 2 senators and Virginia has 2 senators.
Dude. Montana has 2 fucking senators.
Now think about that.
Fuck that.
California has 40 million people. I think I'm saying that right. It's right.
Yeah.
Virginia has about 1 million. If that, I'm not even sure it's that many.
Doesn't Montana have 180,000?
But the idea, the idea that those clan clubs, have any say or have as much say as Californians is fucking crazy.
It's all due to the fucking South.
Yeah.
All those representations, it's all because of the South. And
when you think about it, this entire mess we're in is because of the South.
Oh yeah, no, the South has risen again, and it's fucking.
I'd say it's risen in one.
Well,
the only thing worse would be a complete oligarchy, but it's risen in one.
If they win, I believe truly that if Trump wins in November, it will that will happen. That'll be it. It'll become an autocracy. It'll become a theocracy more so.
The good news is
Project 2025.
Yeah. Where Trump disavowed.
That he knows nothing about. Yeah,
but that's a complete lie. Of course, as usual.
That guy needs a fucking dick punch.
The good news, though, is finally, after 15 episodes, Trump is our asshole of the week.
Asshole of the week.
So I couldn't resist. We got to talk about Trump just a little bit here. Trump is undoing his own campaign. Trump is insane.
He's insane.
He's always been kind of weird, and he's always been a liar. Let's set that aside.
Right.
Trump now is fully insane. The other day, just yesterday, he posted AI images of Taylor Swift on his social media.
I fucking heard about that.
Saying that I accept your endorsement, right? That the idea that she and her fans endorsed him never happened. Not true.
No, dude.
I believe they're going to sue. Of course they are. But basically, when Trump was president, my wife and I had a no Trump in the House policy. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear him. This is too fucking awful. We were considering leaving the country. It was so awful.
Yeah.
Fuck this place. Fuck this Klan rally of a country.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming delightful. So Trump, the other day, we were talking about this. Trump tried to give a intellectual speech and try to compare Tic Tacs to inflation. He had this insane metaphor with a big box of Tic Tacs and a little box.
He's fucking smart.
Made absolutely no sense.
Smart.
These are his accomplishments the last few weeks since he started melting down from Kamala Harris's surge.
So is this is post switch?
Post switch.
Okay.
You and I agree Biden would have lost.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt Biden was going to lose.
99% on that.
I really do think Kamala's going to win. Sanity is going to prevail. And I think it's the end for Trump, obviously, if he loses. It's really the end.
This is another tangent.
Yeah.
But I also believe that the Republican Party will be in complete fucking disarray because they have no one to replace his cult of personality. Because it really is. It's a cult.
Of course.
And once he's fucking out of the picture, they have nothing. Because Vance is a piece of shit. Nobody likes fucking Vance. The crazy ass people that are trying to Trumpify things.
Yeah.
Fucking Matt Gaetz. Everybody wants to kick that guy.
Well, and Gaetz is up for re-election. Marjorie Taylor Greene is up for election. Lauren Boebert up for re-election.
And all those people, they want to be the next Trump, but they can't do it. There's nobody. The closest would have been DeSantis, and he's completely out of the picture after the last debate.
Well, Trump is a moron, a certified moron, but what he always was kind of charismatic and
weirdly, I don't
was
get
good
it.
in front of a camera. However, that's changed. I just
right.
want to go.
Yep, sorry. That was
it's okay.
That was tangent.
These are just some of his accomplishments in the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Says he's more attractive than Kamala Harris.
Well, look at the guy.
I mean, come on, man. What a stud.
I'd give him a little kiss.
An objectively good-looking woman, he says he's more attractive than her. He insulted Medal of Honor recipients and said the Presidential Medal of Freedom is better.
Yeah.
So he gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Rush fucking Limbaugh.
Yeah.
That piece of shit. Rush Limbaugh, largely the author of this modern movement in politics. Like, he's one of the first to take truth out of political talk.
Him and Newt Gingrich.
Yeah.
I think
Newt Gingrich
they're the two that
and
really
Rush
created it. Yeah.
Started the sullying of politics.
Yeah.
They really were name calling, and it got very personal with those guys.
Yeah.
So, 3,500 people have won the Medal of Honor or been awarded the Medal of Honor. Obviously, it is the highest honor in the land for the military. Trump, who's already said several horrible things about POWs, for example. He said that famously that McCain had been captured, and personally, he's kind of a loser because I like guys that weren't captured.
Right.
I guarantee you right now, if McCain had faced Trump in person at the right time, he would have knocked him the fuck out. Like I know McCain was getting up in years. Guarantee he wanted to knock him out. That just unbelievable. So,
and he was military.
Yes,
Trump
got out for both.
Trump's
spurs.
like a 350-pound fucking 5'11" ass hat.
Yes. Oh, he's also claimed several times he's drawing larger crowds than Kamala Harris.
Well, there's that whole thing with the AI generated plane crowd. What kind of fucking high ass bullshit is that?
There's people there with phones taking pictures.
And it's like, come on. Okay, all right.
But essentially, Trump is melting down. He's going to lose. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. His morons are going to vote for him still.
Right. There's going to be a portion of assholes that will vote for him no matter what.
Of course.
But I don't want to get too hopeful.
No.
But I put the odds pretty high of Kamala winning, and the economists. At the economists, they before the switch gave Biden, I think it was a 20% chance of winning.
Wow. Which felt right. That felt exactly right.
And it might have drifted even lower at some point, but that's the number I remember.
Yeah.
It's 20%. And it hasn't completely reversed, but they're giving Kamala the edge, over 50% now.
You know, as soon as her surge started, and it started immediately, and it's great because
it really
Biden,
did.
This is a transfer of power that was peaceful within the party.
Within the party, yeah, that's a big deal.
Which is a big deal. And if you watched her talking about Biden last night and him talking about her, it was very, Biden could have used that 50 minutes last night on himself.
Yeah.
But he chose to talk about her too.
Well, and what
her
I thought was super dope about that was because, again, I didn't watch all of it, but what I did see, they would chant, they'd say, "Thank you, Joe." They'd chant, "Thank you, Joe." And he'd be all, "No, thank Kamala too."
Yeah.
And he was very on top of like putting a stop to that.
Exactly.
Just like they've been really on top of like when they start chanting, "Lock him up." They're all, no, that's not for us to do.
Right.
Vote him out. And then they start chanting, "Vote him out," which I think like being on top of that kind of bullshit is really good. Although they are sticking it to him fucking hard. I am so glad they got off this fucking they go low, we go high bullshit. Fuck that. They go low, we kick them in the dick.
Oh no, they played it.
Those
Did you see that 2-minute video they ran about Trump? I mean, it was
it a campaign video?
It was. I don't know if it was a campaign video, but it was like a Lincoln Project video, in that it was slamming Trump hard for 2 minutes. Like, it was not.
They're not going light.
No, they are not. But what they are doing is injecting hope back into politics,
for sure.
And I think that's why she's going to win.
But they're treating them like the one thing I always thought with all of these fucking dickweeds is that if you laugh at them, they lose all their power, and nobody was laughing at them. Like, that should have been the whole thing. Is like, do you remember? This is kind of obscure, but there was a video that was going around for a while, and it was this guy in Arizona, and he was at one of these fucking meetings, and it was during COVID, and the anti-vaxxers were fucking just going crazy, and everybody's fucking losing their mind in there, and he's in a green shirt, and he's fucking hysterical. He's laughing. I'm like, that's what we need. That is exactly what we need.
And that was a reaction video of him laughing at Trump, or
no? He was at the fucking meeting, and and this whole like local city council meeting, they were talking about COVID and masks and vaccines and shit like that.
Yeah.
And the insane people were going off about fucking their anti-science bullshit, and he was just laughing hysterically. I'm like, that is gold. I'll see if I can find it. Because it is. Yeah. It is gold. That was one of those things that was going around.
Have you seen these guys that show up with subterfuge at book banning meetings and pretend like they're right-wing hicks? So they'll show up at these book banning meetings, or they'll show up at these right-wing school meetings, and they'll pretend to be kind of a fan, but they get so ridiculous with what they're saying. They'll basically make fun of the entire thing.
They push it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah. So a little theater, but still kind of funny though.
Like, I think that dealing with Trump on that level, that's, if everybody keeps focus, fucking keeps mocking him, making him just fucking lose his mind. Because I think that all the mocking and all the mainstream media, and I hate saying that, but it really is like the mainstream media has given him like the benefit of the doubt. And I have my theories about that, but they're finally starting to put truth in the headlines and shit like that. And they're like, what the fuck? What? Listen to this guy.
I mean, I would love it if they. I mean, we have this fantasy that like Trump actually shows up to the debate with Harris, and I would just love a buzzer. I would love a buzzer to get rung every time he lies. I don't think it's going to happen, but would that be incredible?
Dude, I hope to God he shows up for that. There's no fucking way though. You don't
think so?
In an infinite universe, everything has a non-zero chance of happening except for that.
I think he's absolutely going to show up. I think he's afraid.
I don't. How?
I mean, to me,
no, I don't. I can't.
Let me ask you this: what does he have to lose? He is getting fucking crushed right now.
He knows that if he goes in front of her, she will wipe the floor with him. I think that he's fucking stupid, but I think that he knows that, and I think that's why he's so scared of her. because she's so goddamn smart, dude.
Yeah, you can't.
Like she's the whole bag of chips. Like she's hot. She's fucking smart.
Yeah.
She's good off the cuff. You know, like she is fucking the whole damn thing. And he is not.
No.
And like trying to, like him saying that he's better looking than her is just throwing down that he is absolutely terrified of this woman. And
he should be.
Yeah.
He should be.
Yeah.
You know, I told you I watched that Biden-Trump debate. Was excited about it. 5 minutes in, I turned it off. No. He's losing. I can't watch it. This is fucking horrible.
I started listening to that in my car, in my truck on the drive home. And I was like, can't do it. I turned it off. But then I went home and I turned it back on. I'm like, he got better.
Of course, yeah.
But
didn't help he was sick that day. Obviously, he was low energy.
He was being bullied and like Trump. I mean, the thing is that I 86 my fucking New York Times subscription after that because they were fucking so full of shit, dude. I mean,
what did they say that was specifically full of shit?
So their op-ed page lit up. Their op-ed page has moved so far to the fucking right, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I didn't know.
And the whole thing was Biden needs to step out. The editorial board, Biden needs to step out. They didn't spend any of that fucking front page real estate on Trump lied 450 fucking times. Every time his mouth was open, he was lying. Biden looked old, but he was bullied, and there was none of that. There was none of that. And I feel like they are kind of being forced. I think a lot of people canceled subscriptions to the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Fucking New York Times. I think all the major newspapers took a real fucking hit because they were so obviously putting their finger on the scales for Trump.
Yeah.
And now they're complaining that they replaced Biden with Harris.
Trump won't stop talking about Biden.
But all the papers, like they're saying, oh, well, it was a coup. Fuck, what the fuck? You're fucking...
just using that... Well, okay. So just using that word, if you needed any indication, if they've completely kissing the ass of the right wing.
It's so crazy.
Just using that word.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a coup.
It's insane.
Not even remotely a coup.
And when your whole fucking editorial page called for him to step down, and he fucking did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
So now what?
Look, she's going to win. I'm only a little bit optimistic.
Yeah.
But I think sanity is going to prevail.
We'll see over the next 2.5 months.
I hope he shows up, though, because if he tries to bully Kamala Harris, that will be a popcorn moment.
Well, and the other side of that is that the CBS, they got the mic kill, the kill button.
Oh, when he starts to talk over her?
Well, if it's not your turn, the mic gets cut.
Yeah.
And that's gonna make a big difference.
But Vance will definitely show up, and Walz will eat him up.
Oh God, that'll be so good,
dude. Walz, that guy is not lacking for confidence. He's not lacking for charisma. He is a good person. We're going to talk about him next week, but it's all over.
And life experience, like that guy's done shit. Vance hasn't done shit. The thing about Vance, right? There's this particular way of presentation that I'm seeing in a certain segment of the fucking new right. And you see it in Mike Johnson, and they try and talk real calm, and they're
so it's presenting as normal.
It's presenting in like, oh, these people are completely out of control. I am so under,
calmness as a device, basically.
All it's going to take is Walt's fucking getting one good dig in there and firing them up. It's all over, and that's what you need to see.
Yeah.
I mean, they are fucking professionals, so it may not happen, but that's one fucking under the skin dig, dude, that just sets that fucking little cracker off.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hope that both those debates happen because I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Before we go though, got a couple quotes.
Okay.
Little quote corner. Some of these are related. Some of them are not. It's just an Edgar Allan Poe quote for no reason, but I love it. He says, "I became insane with long intervals of horrible sanity." Completely out of context, I know, but an interesting thought though. In Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, it's my mask of sanity is slowly slipping away.
I know this is probably a fucking controversial. I love that fucking book. It is so fucking.
I know people like the movie more, but you said you like the book.
The book is amazing.
Yeah.
The book is amazing.
Made a great movie.
And you know what? I'd like to see it after hearing the interview with the director.
Yeah.
Because she, it's a different story.
Oh, okay.
It's a different story.
Okay. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, okay, sorry.
Oh, this is all right. This is Asimov, Asimov has a million great quotes.
My man.
But Isaac Asimov said, people who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who do. A wonderful way to put that. Real quick here, John Stuart Mill was an English philosopher, political economist, politician, and civil servant. He was one of the most influential thinkers in the history of liberalism, and he contributed widely to social theory, political theory. So I heard a retired general do this quote the other day in regards to Trump's, once again, slandering of military vets.
Right.
So this is John Stuart Mill talking here. A man who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature, and has no chance of being free unless made and kept so by the exertions of better men than himself.
Yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't describe Trump, I don't know what does.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up.
Trump has no regard for anyone other than himself.
No.
Kamala Harris and Tim Walz lived poor.
Right. Right.
She was a McDonald's employee. You know what I mean? They really lived poor. And, another famous, might have been president, said, never trust a man who's never worked with his hands.
Yeah.
Something about the working class. AOC last night, she's been told a few times, go back to bartending. She goes, I would gladly do that. There is no shame in working for a living.
No.
And the fact that anyone would use that as an insult, right?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is those people are less than. No, they are not.
So you expect somebody like me to vote for you.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's the thing.
Well,
I don't understand how there are people that are in that situation that vote for people that are so obviously against all of their interests. I know it's liberal tears and all that shit, but fucking still.
Well, that famous book, Whatever Happened to Kansas. I don't know if you've read it or heard him
I have heard about it.
But he did research just that. How did Kansas, which was a blue state or at least more Democratic leaning, suddenly move slowly to radical republicanism and have a bunch of lower and middle class people constantly voting against their own self-interest?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's insane.
It is a cult, like you said. Did we solve it?
I don't know if we solved dads, but
dads, all that anxiety anybody had about dads, it's all over now. We made it better.
My brother in Boston, his suggestion when I told him that we were going to do this podcast was to have a cheers to bad dads at the end of every episode.
Like a little toast.
Yeah, little toast. So
I got some Johnny Walker Double Black in there if you want.
Cheers to bad dads, my man.
All right, here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, man. See you next week.
All right, see you next week.
Take care.
Rock on. You have been listening to Vitruvian Man. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can either call us at 415-484-8841 or send us an email at vitruvianpod@gmail.com.